Welcome back, Creative Maestros. It is my humble pleasure to represent one of my favorite souls on the planet, Mikael Yisrael, and he is going to grace us with his Creative Maestro abilities so you can go out and create. So thank you, Mikael.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate you, brother. I really appreciate you sharing your platform, having me here, taking a trip out to come visit us.
Absolutely.
Catch up. It's always a pleasure.
Appreciate that. So a little background about Mikael. We also went to high school together.
Yes, sir.
The petty school. So shout out to
Viva.
that. Shout out to that. But also, Mikael has a very firm background in education. His professional career has been revolving around helping people not only achieve their dreams by getting into either secondary or collegiate education, but also discovering the nuances behind what it takes to stand out on a college application. Do you want to give us a little background about that?
Yeah, man. It's funny. It's funny. It really is funny because I would categorize myself as someone who hates school.
I understand that.
Like hate it. Like I have
Right.
a huge disdain for school.
Absolutely.
However, since the tender age of 3, I have been in institutions, either as a student or working or being a student while working at an institution.
Absolutely.
Since the age of 3, I have not had anything else but being involved in the school. That's
Okay.
it. So upon graduation from my collegiate level, I went straight back to Petty, actually, and worked there for 3 years. And then from there I went to higher education, and now I'm back at an independent school. So all of my experiences has been within an educational institution.
Right.
So much so that I need to ask myself why.
Okay.
For someone who has such a huge disdain for school, why have I spent and dedicated my whole career thus far, my whole life, in educational institutions?
Right.
And I think it's because, if you want to quote Gandhi, who says you should be the change in the world that you wish to see.
Absolutely.
I didn't like a lot of things when I was coming up in school.
Upset with the status quo.
I was
right?
upset with the status quo. I didn't like schooling in the way that it polices the bodies of people, tells you where you need to be, when you need to be there, how you need to behave. They really police your body, so much so that I used to leave away messages on my AOL Instant Messenger back in the day.
On the AIM game.
That said, the AIM game that said I'm out at academic prison. So that's pretty much what it was. But I realized that there was a huge difference between schooling and education.
Okay.
And once I realized that I need to give back to those who might be like me, who might lose their way in this process called schooling, and really make them hip to the fact that there's something called education that they need to delve deeper into in order for them not only know themselves, but take what they learn about themselves and share it with the greater world. And I think that's what you're doing right now, honestly, on this platform, which I'm so appreciative of sharing with you. So with that being said, I think the stuff that I do now is really me trying to speak to those who might be like me, who might think that school is not the way, who might given up on education because it prohibits them from really tapping into who they are as a person.
Sure.
And really inspiring them for the next generation or what they want to do moving forward in their lives. So I want to help folks realize what their passions are. I want to help folks realize that you don't have to go to a particular school in order for you to be successful. I want folks to understand that, you know, there's just certain things that you have to do the way that the system is set up. However, you can still be you and not lose yourself in that process.
And you bring up a fantastic point. I feel like the most undervalued aspect of our young adult lives is the power to decide. You can decide to take something positively or negatively, and which is the difference between, you know, conductive criticism and you taking it just as criticism, so you get defensive and you're like, oh, well, you do X, Y, and Z. That's not the point of my statement. I'm actually trying to help you so you can actually, yeah, so you can actually not only thrive, but even benefit even more than you actually consciously see right now. Like that's the point of me talking. Like I'm not going to waste my time telling you something about yourself unless I honestly believe if you improve that one part, then you would be able to do incredible things.
And I totally agree with that. I think what you just said is critical, because I think that the way that we're able to be the most creative, if we allow ourselves to be vulnerable. If we allow ourselves, and I think any artist would say that.
Yes.
If we allow ourselves to be vulnerable enough where we're okay and open to constructive criticism, where we're okay and open to feedback, where we're okay and open to realize and fully embrace that we don't have all the answers.
Right.
We don't. In fact, we should be having conversations with multitudes of people because guess what? They come from different backgrounds, different lived experiences, diverse perspectives, and that's just going to help us figure out what it is that we need to do and help us be more innovative and creative. But I think if we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable, then there will be no growth. You will remain stagnant, and then you'll just be on that hamster wheel, going back and back and back and back and back, and nothing will move forward.
Absolutely. And that's literally the purpose of the creative interview series is to speak to different people, and so we can learn from people like you and how to be inspired in different ways and learn how to be creative in different ways in different lanes. I think that is critical. Absolutely.
You know what I wish someone would have told me when I was younger, and I think what you're doing is fantastic, phenomenal. Honestly, you need to like his videos. You need to subscribe right now because what he's doing is brilliant in a lot of different ways because you are a new age life coach in a lot of different ways. And in some cases, dare I say it, you might be a father figure for a lot of people who don't have one. Or you might be that mentor who tells someone who has a creative idea, go forth with it, as opposed to the person who's on the other side saying, nah, that's not going to work, G. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I think that situations like this, let people know they're not crazy. Let people know that their ideas, the sky's the limit. And lets people know that they need to continue pursuing their passions, and everything else will fall into place. Everything else will fall into place because, as you say, press play on your imagination, right? I think there's a lot of times that when I was growing up, I wanted to be a forensic scientist. Okay. I definitely did. I was in the bathroom playing with toothpaste, mixing shampoos and everything. I'm glad I am blowing anything up. However, I think sometimes we might be stifled by that because it's like, boy, what you doing? Yeah. You better not be using all that toothpaste. We gotta brush our teeth around here. Like, I get that. I totally get that. But there needs to be some type of support that will allow the individual to really, take that a step further and see exactly what you're doing and explore it a little bit more so, as opposed to, brother, listen, you ain't paying no money around here. We ain't got enough money for toothpaste. Stop playing with shampoo. Shampoo go in your hair. Like, I get it. But we need that type of stuff. And I think what you're providing for your viewers is that you're pushing them out of their comfort zone. You're pushing them out of complacency. And you're telling them that their idea is worth it and that they're worth it. And that they should go and explore their worthwhile idea. Absolutely. And you saw and really loved the interview I had with Nasheed. Yes. And the fact that he's a creative risk taker as well as yourself. And the point of that interview was to really believe in yourself and really put yourself out there, because when you make that conscious decision to put something out there for other people to digest, your best comes out. And that's the most important. When you're a creative risk taker, your mind, body, and soul always backs you up. They will never let you down, which is something that we all should strive to try and do more, is to engage our mind, body, and creative spirits, because they are incredible entities on their own. For sure. First and foremost, shout out to She. Part of my back, you know what I mean? But first and foremost, shout out to She. Definitely appreciate the work and everything that he's doing, man. Just a ball of energy. I think that he's a great example of how you should just be yourself. Absolutely. Point blank, period. You shouldn't try to be the next man. You shouldn't be trying to follow what someone else is doing, who's relevant, who's trending right now. Be you. And whoever follows you are the exact people who should be following you. And please believe, if you keep putting in the work, everything's going to work out well. And some folks are doing it for all the wrong reasons. Some folks are trying to chase money, they're trying to chase that paper, they're trying to stack, whatever. Right. Racks on racks on racks. They're trying to do whatever they want to do, right? But if you're chasing it for the right reason, because you're really into it, you know what I mean? You'll be good. You'll definitely be good. And then from that, I think other opportunities open. So once you start to chase your creative passions, other windows, other opportunities will be presented to you.
Absolutely.
Because why? You're focusing on things that are important to you. You're focusing on things that you've always had in your heart, as opposed to trying to follow what the next current trend is going to be, or what the next come up is going to be in the world. I think that's just something that folks need to just really be in touch with themselves a little bit more so. I mean, I think I talk about, when I talk to students, because I'm a college counselor right now, but when I talk to students, I tell them about, they always ask me, how do I distinguish myself in the process? I know it's always corny advice, but when I worked in higher education, I used to do information sessions. And that question would come up too. And I would tell folks, the minute you try to distinguish yourself, that's already a false step. So we take advice from our good friend Dr. Seuss, who said, today you are you, that's truer than true. There's no one alive more youer than you.
Word.
Be you.
Yeah.
And you just being you, you're already distinguished. So don't try to distinguish yourself. You're already distinguished. Be true to yourself. Have that conversation with yourself. And I always say, before you're a prospective student, you have to be an introspective student. But some people are a little scared. They don't really want to spend time with themselves. And that's a whole nother different conversation about people not wanting to spend time with themselves because they're either insecure, or they don't like themselves, or they just don't think that they're strong enough because they've had all these messages that tell them they're nothing, or tell them that they shouldn't be creative. But once you stay true to your passion, and sometimes it's hard to find that, but hey, once you find that, listen to that inner voice. Listen to it. And then hopefully they have people like you who keep telling them, listen to your inner voice. Listen to your inner voice, and everything else will come after that.
Thanks for watching, guys. This was such a fun interview. If you guys want to see the full interview in its entirety, make sure you click the link in the description below to hear more from the innovative educator, Mikael Yisrael.